Yes, people, I'm back. Mashal St. Patrick Hewitt, the host of From Bromley with Love. I'm going to do the verdict from Bromley's 2-0 win over Harrogate Town. As ever, as I always say though, admin-wise, like, share, subscribe. Head to frombromleywithlove.news and subscribe to the medium that we run on Counterpress. That's where you get all your Bromley news, all your kind of previews, reviews, news pieces, opinion pieces, etc., etc. But this is the free stuff on YouTube. This is the free stuff. If you don't want to subscribe, here's the free content that you get. So the verdict from today's game. First things first, I think that was a deserved win. Granted, the first 45 minutes were even Stevens. Both sides were cancelling each other out. It was a classic. Do you know what it was? It was a classic. It was a classic National League game. Bromley and Harrogate obviously have got a National League history. Harrogate got to League Two before we did. And there's certain teams who Bromley play at this level where it feels like a National League contest. Not just because of the stature of the sides involved. Obviously, Bromley are one of the smaller clubs in League Two, so are Harrogate. Throw in teams like Barrow, teams that have been in the National League with us and come up. Barnet have just recently come up as well. So those games, it's almost like both teams are so familiar with one another that the quality immediately declines. And that's not to say that both teams weren't trying. That's not to say that Harrogate weren't trying to play well and that Bromley weren't trying to play well. It's just that I think some teams in this league are so familiar with each other from the National League days, and it affects the quality. So it was a National League game. The ball was up in the air, going back and forth for quite a lot of it. And at half-time, 0-0 was the right result. There was only 2 shots on target in the first half. Bromley had both of them. I think one was a snapshot from Denanga, and then Cheek had a header right on the stroke of half-time. But neither shot caused James Belshaw. He still had to get down and save them, but neither shot was going to cause James Belshaw any kind of worry. Now, when I spoke to Andy Woodman at the end of the match, he said that at half-time, he told the squad, listen, and I respect Andy for giving an insight into some of the conversations that he has and how honest he is with it. So Andy said that he told his squad, listen, if you can't win this game with quality, you're going to have to, and by quality, I think he meant like breaking through the lines and trying to find that one kind of killer pass or intricate movement that breaks Harrogate down. That was never going to work today. And I think Andy's words were, you'll have to go back and watch the post-match if you haven't done so yet on the From Bromley with Love YouTube page. But what Andy effectively said was, he said to the side, you're going to have to just find a way through sheer will. You're going to, by force, you just have to find a way. And one of the big advantages that Bromley have as a side is that we put the ball into the opposition box so many times that it forces the opposition to have to be on it. To beat Bromley or to keep Bromley at bay, you have to be switched on for all 90. You can't have a 5 minutes where you lose concentration, or there's a lapse in judgment, or you lose a man at a set piece, because you will get punished. And I think I've said this before on previous verdicts. And in fact, even in the preview for this Harrogate game, I think I wrote that if you actually look at the stats of this season so far, Bromley are the second best team in the league for touches in the opposition box. Those type of stats aren't by luck. And if I can't remember who's first, I want to say it was Grimsby. I'll go back and look. But before today's games, I think number 1 was Grimsby and number 2 was us. And up until today, Grimsby obviously were unbeaten. The Manchester United result in the week notwithstanding, Grimsby were actually unbeaten, right? So if you have that many touches in the opposition box, you're going to create chances. You're going to create opportunities. And what it means for opposition teams that come up against Bromley, it means you have to be switched on. You cannot afford to switch off for even 10 seconds, because it's likely, particularly if it's a set piece, that Bromley will punish you. And that's effectively what decided the game today, because even up until the 75th minute, the only 2 chances of consequence in the second half, Micah's, I feel, should have got more on the header at the back post. I can't remember who crossed it in. I can't remember if it was Odateu or if it was Pinnock. And Eiffel arrived at the back post, should have got more on it, but didn't. And then, what's his name? The Duke McKenna, the Harrogate midfielder or winger, he forced to save. Again, relatively comfortable. Grant Smith had to push it away, but he forced to save out of Grant Smith. And then up until the 74th, 75th minute, whenever that goal arrived from Nicky Kabamba, it was still even Stevens. Probably looked like they were threatening more, but it was still relatively even Stevens. And then we get that free kick. Was it a free kick or was it a corner? It was a free kick, I believe it was a free kick. Pinnock puts it in. Cameron gets up. Belshaw pulls off a brilliant save. Kabamba reacts first. Goal, 1-0. Set piece. Harrogate switched off. Punished immediately. Look how many giants are in that Bromley side. Kabamba came on. So Kabamba, you have to worry about Kabamba. You have to worry about Shawamni. You have to worry about Cameron. Honda, all the Honda mark had gone off. Cheat. There's a whole bunch of dangerous guys when Bromley send in set pieces. So 1-0. Now Harrogate have to come out their shell because up until that point they were relatively quote unquote comfortable defending the 0-0, right? They weren't too imaginative going forward, right? They had very little that was threatening going forward. So now they've got to come out. And then 6 minutes later, they're sucker punched a second time. Another set piece. Pinnock sends it in. Shawamni arrives at the back post, not picked up properly. Harrogate switch off. 2-0, bang, game over. Right? That is Bromley in a nutshell. Not in so much as Bromley are a set piece team, but in so much as all the opposition managers I speak to, they said it all last season and they're saying it again this season. Bromley are big. Bromley are robust. Bromley are strong. They put you under constant pressure, and if you don't switch on, they will punish you. And that's what today's game was. In a nutshell, that's what today's game was. And the thing is, that sounds rather limiting, right? Because it makes it sound like, oh, Bromley are a really simplistic side. No, doing that is a skill set. Bromley aren't doing that by chance. They're not doing that by luck. That is a specific skill set that Andy Woodman and his coaching staff have drilled into this team, and it works. And if it was simple, teams opposition would have found a way to combat Bromley by now. But every single time Bromley go out there, not every single time, but more often than not, you find teams going, what the hell? We know what they're going to do, but we don't know how to stop it. And that's kind of effectively a summation of today's game. So the 2-0 victory, I just want a quick shout out because it wasn't a game for the purists today, but I do think the changes from the bench made a difference. I thought Kabamba put himself about. Obviously he got his goal. It's not just because Kabamba got the goal, but he put himself about well, made himself a nuisance, got the goal. That's his third goal of the season. If you follow From Bromley with Love on Instagram, I did a post about 2 weeks ago where I said, I think Kabamba's going to be adding goals this season, right? And I said, if he adds, because I think Kabamba's going to get into double figures. We already know Cheek will get into double figures. So Bromley have got goal threats from all over the pitch this year. And I've noticed as well that teams obviously are so wary of Cheek because of last season. Now they know who he is. But they're not realising that Bromley got goals elsewhere. So well done to Kabamba. I thought Ben Crowhouse was really... I thought Crowhouse came on and did what was missing in the first half or until his introduction, which was drop into the pockets of space and drive. I thought he was really good. I thought this was actually Crowhouse's best performance of the season, and he'll get better. He'll get better, but I thought he was really good at just dropping into those pockets in and around, just around the 20, 25 yards out, and then driving and opening up space. So I thought he was decent as well. I'm trying to remember if there were any other subs that came on. Cheek went off late for Mulu, and obviously Thompson came on for Arthur's. So Crowhouse for Honda Mark, Thompson for Arthur's. Thompson was fine. So good performance. Next up is the Virtu Cup. I expect a whole raft of changes for that game. I expect Sam Gurman to play. I expect Alex Stepien to play. I expect a whole bunch of wider squad players to get a game against Palace. I think that's only right, but I'll write up something about it. Look out for the good, bad, ugly drop in on from bromleywithlove.news. Hopefully tomorrow morning, if not later today. And like I say, if you're watching this, you're like, what's from Bromley with from bromleywithlove.news. That's where you get all of the write-ups, all the analysis, all the reaction, all the think pieces, opinion pieces, news pieces, match day reviews, previews, etc. So go and subscribe if you haven't already done so. For as little as, it's not even it's basically what the price of a coffee per month, one coffee per month. So go subscribe and do all that. But anyways, I'll be back, people, with some more content at some point in time. If you haven't done so already, go and also watch my interview with Andy post-match today. And I'll see you all very, very soon. Peace.